Hey guys, my name is David. I'm a trader on Poloniex. Just wanted to share with you guys um, what I believe is going to happen possibly in the next week, maybe the next day, and all throughout 2018. I've been keeping an eye on Ripple for a very long time. And if you all seen the chart of Ripple, it's been trending down. I'm using Poloniex. It's very slow. So let me see if this thing loads up. All right, so here's its peak, Ripple's peak when it hit 0.00023, right? That was its peak. It was valued at 44 cents because Bitcoin was valued at about approximately, let's say, $2,000, right? As Ripple's, you could say, BTC worth went down and the Bitcoin price skyrocketed. It only dropped about 20 cents when it reached around this point right here. So that's really like a 20 cents difference, right? Because all these altcoins are pegged off the value of BTC. So I'll give you an example. If the Ripple price flatlined, it was in a straight line, and it was at, let's say, this price, at 89.75 indefinitely, let's just say, and you would think, oh, well, the price is not going up. Well, that's wrong, because if the BTC price is going up, then the value of its you could say its share of 0. whatever 8, 0.8 would go up, right? So we recently had a spike right here. At this point, I can't. It doesn't really show what price, but this was around the time that the XRP finally announced they were gonna lock up 55 billion coins in escrow, and every few months or so they would introduce more XRP into the system, and those that they won't sell, they would go back into escrow. But as a day trader, we love to see price action, right? So people started to see this action right here, and they wanted to get it in on you could say the moment. And the reason why it really spikes so much is not because people are trying to you could say make money, because it really hasn't gone down. If you look at the 1 week chart, it really hasn't gone down. There are some people that took profits. Those are the ones that don't really believe in, you could say, the protocol. They just don't care. They just want to make money in the short term. But XRP is a sleeping giant, so it didn't really sell off that much. And right now the bands are narrowing, and it could possibly spike down and retest this low of 0.00035. If that happens, it most likely will just spike back up. There might be buy orders already set in place. There could also be buy orders set in place around this area, but they might lose out. And let's look at the price of Bitcoin, because you really have to look at the Bitcoin chart to see if XRP is really worth the investment, right? Because there's lots of people with Bitcoin now, so, and they don't know what to do with it. I mean, are you really gonna put let's say for example, you own BTC and you purchase a full coin, and you purchase a full coin, right? Hold on a second. And you bought it at yesterday's price at $17,000, right? And if it goes up 100%, I mean, it seems like a lot of money. And let's say if it goes up 100% in a year, it seems like a lot of money, but really it isn't, because you know XRP just increased 300%, 300% in a matter of days, and retraced 100%, and it's kind of stabilizing. We'll see. But how do we know if XRP still has a run to go up? If it still has, more to go? And why would people even be in on the run, right? Why would they? Because this, as the Ripple team stated, they actually have a plan and to tap this $1 trillion market in the future. They brag about how all the other coins really don't have a product out, and their value is very high. They're just giving promises, and XRP is actually delivering on many promises, right? So let's look at the value of BTC, because like I said, everything is pegged off the value of BTC. Why? Because the BTC pair is king. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of pairs that are dominated by the BTC pair. As long as the BTC pair stays dominant for the years to come, then you'll always see BTC fluctuate, and it'll trend down and it'll go up. Because if I want to get let's say for example any of these coins, right, and if I see it trending down, I'm gonna swap it back to my safe haven BTC, right? But that's not the reason BTC has been going up. It's because people are willing to pay more for a coin that they see is going up in value. But I have to tell you guys, the run up is over. I'm out of BTC, completely out. I don't care if it goes up even $5,000. It's gonna go through a correction. So what does that mean for the altcoins? Well, the altcoins are gonna suffer because everything's pegged off the value of BTC, right? But some altcoins, the projects that have potential and are the ones who have potential and are undervalued, you're gonna start to see influx of that Bitcoin into that market, like Ethereum, and they have on Poloniex, they have a few pairs with coins. They don't dominate the crypto space, the exchanges, with more pairs, but that could change. Who knows? It's too early to speculate. Nobody really knows what's gonna happen, but we just have to, how do you say, use the charts and use common sense. So if I'm looking at the BTC exchange right now, let's see. Let's look at a month. Let's look at a year better. Yeah, so I was buying Bitcoin when it was at 500 and then trending down. It was trending down to like 400, and it was trending down to 250. I was buying it at every price because I knew it was gonna go up. I knew it was gonna get hyped up. So I was like, I'm gonna follow this train, because Bitcoin has a history of going through these cycles where it rises exponentially, right? I was still buying Bitcoin when it was at 4,000, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000, and I capped it at 10,000. You know, I said I let it ride, right? But I'm completely out. I'm not in Bitcoin. I'm in the other currencies that are gonna benefit from all this Bitcoin in the crypto space. So I have a few, you could say a few picks. But let's actually, I want to watch a YouTube video so you can understand what really happens to Bitcoin. So let's check it out. So you could ignore the title because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter. It says don't buy Bitcoin. And I saw this, you know, like a year ago, and it's just educational. Forget about the title.
This one time, Bitcoin went from 6 cents all the way to 36 cents, and then it crashed down to 21 cents. And then another time, Bitcoin went from 85 cents all the way to $29, and then it crashed $3. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $213, and then it crashed all the way to $70. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $1,100, and then it crashed all the way to $239. So the moral of the story is don't buy Bitcoin because you know it's going to crash again.
So I saw this and I was like very educational, and guess what? I was buying Bitcoin, but now I'm out there. And maybe you've been hearing stories, oh, it's gonna crash, but you still see it going up. You know, this can't go up forever. This is not healthy. This hasn't been any major correction. At some point, it will correct. At some point, you know, let's just say it goes to 22,000. Who cares? That at some point there's gonna be a massive sell-off. There's gonna be people flooding into the cryptocurrency that really are worth a damn, that haven't had a run up yet, you know. And I would choose Ethereum for the simple reason is that they actually have potential to dominate a certain sector of the, you could say, the industries. I forget what they the whatchamacallit, the like the, how you say, app development industry. They could really tap that. They only need one successful DApp, which is decentralized app, to make it. And once they have one successful DApp, everyone's gonna follow, want Ethereum, and you know, create their own decentralized app, right? But that could be many years from now. I mean, the creator of Ethereum even stated, you know, there's still many years away. So if you don't believe in the project, if you're just trying to make a quick buck, just because you think it's gonna go up, I wouldn't invest in it. But if you really like do your homework and you really believe in the project, and you really care about it, and so you might want to get involved. Who cares right now? The prices of Ethereum is, oh wait, this is slow. The price of Ethereum is seriously undervalued. So is XRP is seriously undervalued. What else is seriously undervalued? Like I said, I love Poloniex, but I just can't stand that these are. This is so slow for loading up. Stellar Lumens has potential, but because that's a fork of Ripple. So most likely you will see Stellar Lumens rise with Ripple. But I know I haven't really looked into it, you know. But let's say, for example, you could just create their source code and get their source code and create your own you could say Stellar Lumens, or you could even create your own Ripple, right? But what really matters is not, it's not what you know. Yeah, I know how to create Stellar Lumens. I'm gonna put it in an exchange and make money, or whatever. I say I'm announcing that I have plans to use it in this manner. IBM said they want to be affiliated with Stellar Lumens, or they made like a contract or something, with like a temporary contract, and Stellar Lumens went up. But really, I mean, even with Ripple, you could get the source code and create your own, like pre-mine these coins. Even with Bitcoin, you could get the source code and pre-mine them. Mine them your own. But who's really gonna accept that as source of value? Nobody, because Bitcoin was first, right? In a sense, I'm not gonna go too technical into why Bitcoin is so dominant, but it could potentially go up. There's really not that many coins. I mean, right now, everyone is making a lot of promises and not delivering. There's some coins out here that are hyping their own product that they haven't even come out yet. So and the price of their coin is it's growing up in value. It's going up in value, but anyone can steal the spotlight. So going back to Ripple, I mean, it's like I said, it's not what it's who and they got all the connection, they got all the money in the world. So it's not about really having all the money, it's really about having the connections. And the last I heard, there's over 100 banks using the XRP protocol to facilitate financial transactions. So let's look at the Ripple chart. So look at this. I mean, look at this the Bitcoin exchange chart. So eventually it's gonna crash around. Let's say it's gonna crash about $14,000. Then it might spike up and try to recover, right? But then it won't have enough momentum, and then it'll crash, and it'll repeat. It'll try to gain more momentum because and then it'll crash. And the price is gonna settle, right? It's just gonna stabilize. So, and I honestly think this is the actual end for Bitcoin. This is my opinion. I really think this is the actual end. Look, Bitcoin will always exist. Partly, I bet you Bitcoin is gonna exist for a very, very long time, but it's not gonna be these prices for at all. It might, for example, be that $1,000 coin that everyone likes to have because it's worth $1,000. Maybe let's say, for example, in 50 years or something. Who knows? It's just because let's just say because it's accepted everywhere or something. I believe but because there's people that just like Bitcoin. There's people that still have Bitcoin. So it's not like they want to just shut off the network. Yeah, the network will always be running, but it won't be this hype anymore. It just really won't, right? This is just common sense. So, on the other hand, I mean, it's in Wall Street's interest to not, to help it, to prop it up, because we don't want to discourage the new generation of teenagers to learn about blockchain technology, right? Because blockchain technology is going to revolutionize new industries. And right now, if you never went to university and you know how to program in blockchain technology, you could make 150K or more, in developing maybe in the Ethereum team, or the Lisk team. Who knows? Brand new coin that's gonna come out. Who knows? But so why discourage, in a sense, all these this new generation? I think Wall Street is pretty smart. They don't want to mess up something that could potentially help grow a new industry to make more money. You know. So it either will crash or it would just go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, or whatever, and just be very erratic. But I definitely don't see it rising any higher. I mean, let it rise 30,000 if who cares? Just don't care if it does. It just doesn't make sense right now. You know. History has shown us that it's done this like 4 or 5 times. So people are probably expecting that it will happen again, but I don't see it happening. I mean, who wants to pay $100 or more per transaction because you want to send Bitcoin? When really the best token, it really is XRP. Which is why they created 100 billion. They created 100 billion for a reason, not for just the banks. They created 100 billion. So on average, if we reach, let's say, 10 billion people in the whole world, on average, people would own 10 ripples. So, hey, 10 ripples in the future, and if that's a lot of money, because if XRP really taps a multi-trillion-dollar market, maybe I happen to believe so, right? People are stupid. People will buy XRP even if even if it's against their interest, because they're not gonna take that risk and be left out, So they will buy, and they have bought, right? So it's just common sense. So let's look at XRP if it loads up. While that's loading up, let me tell you something. Everyone has been ignoring the altcoins. Everyone has been ignoring all the altcoins. The altcoins, had their ups and downs, and no one's really been like paying attention to them, right? So lots of people that have Bitcoin, are probably, looking into, let's say, for example, going into these altcoins, the altcoins that are really worth the investment. So, I'm already seeing, this is what I'm seeing, and I'll let you know. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the price of Bitcoin going up very high, and then I see all the altcoins losing value because my let's say my Ripple is trending down a little bit. Maybe Ripple isn't gonna deliver or whatever, or just going down. Maybe I'll buy it at a cheaper price because Bitcoin is going up. So a lot of these altcoins you could say suffered because altcoins were not growing the way they should, or just going down in value because BTC was going up. So BTC sometimes goes down in value, right? Goes down in value. Maybe people are selling off into USDH, USD Tether. So that's a way to save the value of your Bitcoin. Let's say if I had $100,000 worth of Bitcoin and I turned it into Tether, $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now I don't have Bitcoin, but I have USD Tether. Then you will always have $100,000. And maybe if Bitcoin crashed to, like, let's say, for example, $2,000, for example, then with that $100,000 you will be able to buy back Bitcoin if you really wanted to. And then I'm sure there's people that are gonna buy back into Bitcoin. As long as BTC remains the most popular pair, and maybe that could be like that by design because we really want BTC to stabilize in the future. Who knows? Nobody really knows. Anything could happen. But I'm gonna shock you with something. And people when they read charts, they don't really understand it. They like to see people like to you could say create imaginary lines because it's the only thing that they can create to reason where the price of Ripple could go up, right? So look at this little right here, for example. Look at this little spike right here in Ripple, like early in January, and look how this spike pales in comparison, right? Like it made, if you look at this spike on the, you know, on the chart when it was happening, you're like, wow, this is so huge. But because you know, the second spike right here happened, it made this look small. So you're like, oh no, that was just like a small spike. No, really, this was a huge deal when this happened. When Ripple rose from like a penny to like a, you know, to like 15 cents or 10 cents, it was a big deal. So we could potentially be seeing this you could say this trend line, this exponential rise and drop maybe again. And then when it does it, I know for a fact it will happen. This will pale in comparison, like when you see these little, you could say, like these little fluctuations. When you see this, if you would have seen the chart, you know, back in December of 2016, this was a big deal. This is like, wow, it went super high, because everything isn't, you know, you gotta look everything's, you gotta put everything into perspective, you know. So, you know, so before, you know, this was a huge run up, like wow, it was big, but eventually this huge spike right here will look like little tiny mountains like this right here when Ripple is the price of, let's say, for example, see this high point right here and see this high point right here. Create an imaginary line on top of it, and if I keep going, my mouse cursor can't even follow the line because it's done. So at some point in the future, it will touch that point, because people absolutely love these points. If you ever pay attention to when the price action dips to a certain point, it always dips to a certain point, creating these imaginary lines. If there's not a consensus where everyone agrees that this is worth the price to buy for it, it'll like break and just continue the downtrend or continue an uptrend. So something to look at. I wouldn't invest if you know, because I'm telling you to invest. I would look into it and go to the Ripple website and determine this for yourself. You know? So, because, you know, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you don't care. You know, there's people that don't like banks, you know? But the thing is, you know, people call it a bank coin. You know, it's created by a bank. It's pre-mined. You know, they have a 50 billion more. You know, it's like a monopoly. You know, it's not like that. You know? You know, Ripple even said it that, you know, they have some form of decentralization, meaning like kind of like Bitcoin, but transaction fees are super low, right? And the transaction fees are super low, and the value will keep going up indefinitely, because in each transaction, a little bit gets destroyed, right? And the transaction speed is super quick. I mean, why? You know, Ripple, in my opinion, could easily take the spotlight. You know, but I don't see it happening for really. I'm gonna be honest, like, you know, 15, 20 years. And the reason why is because there's going to be so much volatility. Look at this volatility. This is too much. We can't use this as currency if it's so volatile. It's impossible. Nobody would want to use it. They're using the XRP protocol. You know, it has some functions, right, to facilitate transactions. But in order to start using this stable coin, which they admitted we need a stable coin, it has to keep, you could say, it has to be adopted for a long time. And once it's fully adopted, the price is going to stabilize. Could you imagine? I could really see this being adopted, you know, definitely in the trillions, because banks are pushing for it. You know, they got a business plan. You know, they're executing their you could say their plans. So in a sense, they're you could say they're the banks are almost, I think, you could say, preparing for the end, because you know there you could say whenever you want to start a brand new industry, let's say for example, I want to start, I don't know, uh, creating websites, for example. You know, you create websites. You know, at some point, you know, it was profitable to make website. You charge a lot of money. Now, the business model changed. You give out free websites. Well, then how the hell do they make money? Well, they have to change their business model, right, to make money, which is like through ads or just collecting data from what pages, other pages you're visiting, or you know, if you make sure you give us credit that you found us on, you know, so and so website to get your free website. You know, that stimulates people to visit the website, and they make money because essentially they may have some products that they do sell, you know, maybe images, things like that. So business models will change. The banking business model is changing and will change. So I know for a fact they're preparing for the end. So it for the end, because there's really, if banks are supporting this, then there's no need for a third party. You know, a third party like, oh, okay, you know, well, I need to go to the bank to send Ripple. No, you just use it, you know, an app. You know, you use your computer, right? Um, and Ripple even stated, you know, at one point the Ripple company may not even exist. It might not be relevant, you know, but they're still developing. They're still developing. So, you know, if Bitcoin is it's just not, Bitcoin is just it worked. It worked, but it can't. It's never gonna stabilize in price. Even if Bitcoin stabilizes in price, you know, for what purpose? You know, for what purpose would it be? You know, people really want an expensive Bitcoin, but for what? You know what, you're gonna send Bitcoin that still is, you know, you know, the transaction fee is just ridiculous. You know, and for what is it really gonna maintain $1,000? You know, or whatever price is gonna be, and people are really gonna keep mining Bitcoin. They got expensive hardware. They're gonna keep mining Bitcoin and processing these transactions. I mean, it's not gonna be profitable at some point. Some people just might mine it for a hobby in the future. You know, you might own like, you know, oh, I got 100. You know, I have 10 Bitcoins. You know, and I bought it for $10. I don't see Bitcoin ever going away. Really, I really don't. But it's just definitely not gonna be worth the price here now. So what I believe many people are doing is using their BTC to get in on the action, where with the next price action, the projects that are really worth the investment, right? So there's people that love BTC. You know, if you owned Bitcoin, you know, a few months ago in April, and you knew how the technical aspects of it, you owned BTH, which is Bitcoin Cash, and the real technical people are really supporting it. Even people that were the early adopters that supported Bitcoin, they're supporting Bitcoin Cash, and they don't have to like buy Bitcoin Cash. They already own it because they had their Bitcoin in a private wallet, right? In a private wallet where they knew the private key, so they were automatically rewarded with Bitcoin Cash. So they're supporting now. They have equal amounts of Bitcoin Cash and, you know, Bitcoin on average. You know, unless they just said, oh, I don't know, I think Bitcoin Cash is a scam, and I'm just gonna cash out and go to Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure a lot of people did that. But we got to pay attention to Bitcoin Cash, because because it could be BTC BCH could take over Bitcoin. When? I don't know. Is it going to reach $1 million? I doubt it. It's just gonna be worth. It's gonna be worth the damn mining. I bet you people are gonna stop mining Bitcoin in the future. When Bitcoin crashes, Bitcoin Cash will definitely rise for sure. And now I'm gonna prove it to you. Let's go to Bitcoin Cash. See, one of the reasons why Bitcoin right now is kind of stabilizing at these high prices is because people like it. People are not selling out. People are hoarding it. And Bitcoin Cash, people are like not really certain. You know, they're like, oh, it went up so high, but I just want to profit because I know it's gonna go down, right? So look at Bitcoin Cash when it first came out. It had a huge run up, and then it kind of not crashed, but it just trended down and stabilized. And then when it had a huge run up, and then went down and stabilized. So how can we predict what the future price action of Bitcoin Cash is going to be, or could potentially be? Well, let's look at the overall year. Am I there yet? Okay. So let me change let me take off these Bollinger Bands. And look at the two peaks, one peak and two peaks. So if you draw a line through these peaks, it will grow kind of like Ripple, and it almost looks exactly like Ripple if you look at the yearly chart. You know, like my assumption is that people know it's actually worth. Like, I'm pretty sure people know BTH is. I don't know the technicalities, but from what I've been reading, it solves a lot of problems with BTC. You could actually control how many coins you mine. If they need to mine more coins, you can mine more coins. If you need to mine less, you can mine a little bit less. It's kind of like adjustable, and maybe they know what they're doing, and maybe it needs to be like that, you know. So I don't see Bitcoin going away. But but I see Bitcoin Cash definitely in the future. But it's gonna be very hard for people to accept a new currency when they thought Bitcoin was it, BTC was it. But look at this trend line. If I make a line here, we could essentially see another spike touch this an invisible line up here. And if it does that and it drops, it stabilizes, then we're seeing a pattern, kind of like the original, not the original Bitcoin or the first Bitcoin. But in reality, from what I've read, this BCH actually supposedly adheres more to the original protocol. This adheres more to the original protocol, and then they created you could say they forked it and this is what we have now. So this fork, you could say it is not working it is not gonna work in the future. So people are preparing for BCH. So you might want to read up on that for sure. You know, I'm pretty sure it's gonna spike up again. When is that gonna spike up? You know, I'm pretty sure that the people who are on these online exchanges will definitely swap their Bitcoin for. I could see that happening easily for Bitcoin Cash, but it'll probably rise too high and then crash. So you have to get in early, right? So that's probably the smart choice. But you're seeing it flatlining. You know how many times I've seen, charts and it's flatlining? That's the perfect time to buy. Every time you see a chart and it's flatlining because nobody's like, well, it's not going up. People only put money because it's going up. You probably losing. You might lose money. You probably lose money if you see it going up. You're probably gonna lose money because it already had a run up for sure. It went up already. You have to really know how to read these charts, and take the lowest risk by knowing how to read charts and reading up on each technology, right? So right now you can say Bitcoin Cash is flatlining. Maybe it'll flatline maybe for, I don't know, a few months maybe, but at some point it will spike, right? And could it potentially take over Bitcoin? That remains to be seen because it was way more volatile, right? It's really difficult to say. I'm not. It could happen. I know it. Like I know something's gonna happen. Bitcoin Cash is not going away. That's for sure. It definitely isn't. And the miners can easily, if they actually see the value of Bitcoin Cash going up and maybe stabilizing. Hey, look, they can. Once people stop mining the Bitcoin BTC, then it's over. If you start seeing and people stop mining, then it's over. Right? They'll move to Bitcoin Cash, and just forget about the cash because they're saying some people. I've read articles. People just are so sure that the Bitcoin Cash is gonna win. They'll just say, don't even bother calling it cash. Just call it Bitcoin. Just call it Bitcoin because that's exactly what it is. It is Bitcoin. So is Litecoin, but Litecoin is Bitcoin. It's just a fork. But what would you rather have? Litecoin that's accepted everywhere? I don't think so. The dollar that's accepted everywhere? Yeah, it's accepted everywhere. Bitcoin is accepted everywhere, right? It's the de facto standard of the internet, right? If you hate banks, then you're probably into crypto, right? I would. I mean, that's what I see. I'm just going by what I read. When I read comments, people are like, oh, I don't like XRP or whatever. But those people that don't like XRP are really going to miss out for sure. Because you don't have to waste so much electricity to create these coins. They already solved it. They solved the solution for, how to transact money and facilitate transaction, whatever. They solved it. And just because it's at 100 billion, it's for a reason. It really is for a reason. It's like saying the average American in the United States has $10,000 worth of wealth. Well, that means some people are, let's say, negative $50,000 in debt. Some people are $1 million, rich. So, and everything gets averaged out. And like, okay, everyone owns around $10,000 worth of dollars. What if I could see our population reaching 10 billion people, and you might hear the saying, well, everyone in the world owns around, let's say, for example, 5 XRPs. But if XRP was divided equally into 10 billion people, everyone would have 10 XRP, which is begs the question, why does XRP, when you deposit XRP into a wallet, they save 20 of them just for you, but you can't take it out. You're like, 20 XRP, I could never take it out. They got my money. No, you'll be able to access them in the future. Maybe you played around with it one day, you put it into a wallet, and maybe you saved it just in case because, it's still money, whatever. But I could see Ripple definitely stabilizing in price at ridiculous prices. And the fiat currencies will always exist. We need fiat currency, because I'm going to be on an island, and I might not have internet, so I'll need some fiat currency. That's a joke. But the point I'm saying is that I don't see fiat currency going away at all. People are just really underestimating Bitcoin Cash. They're underestimating XRP and Ethereum. Ethereum still has a long ways to go. People are just speculating on the price that it will go to $10,000. I don't believe it. You can't believe everything you hear, right? But if you're investing in Ethereum, it's because you believe in the project, and one day they might have, you could say, perfected their program so that people can create these dApps. And if that happens, which is just a very like high likelihood that that could happen, you know, then that'd be great. That would raise the price of Ethereum. But the reason why I don't like Ethereum is because he's even said like and he's even been said to say it's not currency, but you know this guy's a genius. He's developing something that we hardly understand. You could create your own currency with with Ethereum with their SDK. So you know, sounds crazy, but you just never know. So it might be smart to, you know, just buy a little bit, just in case, right? You don't need to buy a full coin, but whatever, it's up to you. You really gotta do your research, right? So, I mean, there's many other picks that I got, you know, but I'm just pointing out like the major coins that I believe that there's gonna be major price action in the future, especially when Bitcoin goes through some type of correction. That's for sure. So, yeah, I've been trading for many years now. Um, you know, I kind of know how like you could say these markets work out, but there never is any certainty, you know. But my recommendation is that if you really believe in Bitcoin, um, open an online exchange like a Poloniex or GDAX or any of those cryptocurrency exchanges, just in case, and maybe keep some of that what Bitcoin wealth onto an exchange, just in case you're missing out on a coin that was so undervalued that nobody was paying attention to, which is are already skyrocketing because there's people now with Bitcoin and they're like, wow, I'm learning about all these other coins that are really way undervalued and they got a product out, you know. So like Lisk, it wants to compete with Ethereum. Eventually, people will be able to buy Lisk directly, and it's going up 21, went up 25%. You know why does Ethereum and the LSK are paired up? You know, because maybe an Ethereum could, you know, could be a winner, you know, as a de facto standard for swapping currencies, and BTC might go away. XMR, I'm not even sure why XMR is there. USDT is, you could do that too. You know, if you have one Bitcoin, for example, or two Bitcoins, whatever, and you're just not sure, and you're just hearing this right now, like, well, I don't want to lose my money. You're saying, you know, so you know, and you might want to sell it on Coinbase and get your money back, maybe, you know. But you could also, let's say, for example, I have one Bitcoin, I want to sell it, and then say I want USD Tether, and you could have, let's say, the exact value of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin might go down, let's say, for example, uh, $3,000, and you still have your original funds, and you actually might be able to, you actually could buy Bitcoin at a lower price. You might be able to buy three or four, but would you really want to invest, like, go back and invest in it because of what just happened? So that's something to look into. Um, get out of Litecoin. The only reason Litecoin is going up because it's on Coinbase. Same thing goes with Ethereum. The only reason why well, it went up in the beginning was because of that. But this is actually worth a damn. Not Litecoin for sure. You know, definitely not Litecoin. It's just a coin. That's it. You know, it's just a coin. A lot of these coins, you know, I'm like, what's next? A coin with artificial intelligence? I mean, I mean, really, I mean, a lot of these coins they're not really just coins. They have you could say they have properties that really that are too technical for me to explain. But like, say for Bitcoin, it's just a huge accounting system. It's like QuickBooks, you know. Imagine QuickBooks came out with you know, you bought QuickBooks, but it came in the form of a coin, or you just downloaded it and there you could save your, you know, it's just a huge accounting system, you know, like probably the best at the time that it came out, which is why it's king right now. But let's say Bitcoin will crash and recover, it could, maybe. So it's really hard to say. Just just keep in mind that we are due for some type of correction. So if you bought high, you just took a huge risk. So that yeah. So I apologize for all my shaky iPad. I really don't care about the filming quality. I'm really trying just to get that message out that there's definitely gonna be 2018 is gonna be very interesting. Let's just say very interesting indeed. Yep. So let me see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, if you had like Bitcoin, you could lend it. You could make some money just storing it, but you don't make that much. Margin lending, stay away from margin lending. Yeah. I wish I could stay here talking for a bit longer, but maybe I'll do that, and then in the next video if people demand it. No problem. Okay, bye.